Empathy gives some people the shivers. They don't get it. They hear they need more of it, but they don't know what to do about it. Hi, I'm AK Helm with Boss at the Helm, and in today's episode, we're looking at the third resource I recommended earlier this month, something that you can put into your toolbox to help you level up your personal and professional leadership. I shared these resources in my newsletter, The Helm Insights, and if you're not subscribed, you can join for free at the link below to receive quarterly leadership mindset inspiration and proven techniques, because we believe that every single one of us has a boss inside, a leader inside. And if you start with yourself, then you lead yourself and you'll be able to lead others. In prior episodes, we've looked at curiosity and bravery. You can find links to those episodes in case you missed them below in the notes. This week, we're going to talk about empathy and specifically about Heather McGowan's work. Welcome to another Mini Bit Mighty leadership lesson. For those of you who are new here, every week we publish a brief but impactful lesson to help you level up through personal and professional development with a focus on leadership mindset. It's kind of interesting how I came across Heather's work. She happens to be a client of brand and marketing strategist Nikki Groom, who I'm lucky enough to know and call my friend. Nikki runs an agency called Raised Voices, with the mission to ensure that powerful ideas don't just get shared, but move people forward. Talk about an empathetic and caring leader. The funny thing is, at first, I didn't realize Heather was a client of Nikki's. I ran across some of Heather's posts on LinkedIn and they grabbed my attention. Then I saw she's a keynote speaker at SHRM 2026 in Dallas. And I believe that when you start to stumble across the same person several times in a row, you should just stop and pay more attention. So I did. And Heather bills herself as a futurist. To be fair, I'm probably not doing enough justice to her because I'm still exploring her messages. But I am 100% on board with the idea that we are leading and working with systems that are outdated, that no longer serve us, and frankly, usually make us miserable. You'll hear Boss at the Helm say, our managers and leaders are failing themselves and those around them because they're relying on old models, outdated frameworks, behaviors that they've observed. These outdated models got someone else to the top, but they just don't work well anymore. It's sort of like an old house. Yes, you can live there. The plumbing and the electricity technically work, but you could also upgrade so that you're able to plug in more than one appliance to an outlet without causing an outage, or sit comfortably in the air conditioning instead of raising the windows. It's a rough analogy, but it serves the point. So Heather says she's a futurist because she's solving tomorrow's problems, and she speaks to mindset shifts, performance, and the way we work with what I'm going to call her own unique human lens. Recently, I read her second book, The Empathy Advantage, Leading the Empowered Workforce, and I'm on board with a lot of her theories, but I'm not really sure about a key theme that she posits, which is that our workforce realized empowerment due to the pandemic, and now we won't go back to the way things were. I'd like to be proven wrong about this. Maybe in a year or two, I'll come back here and gleefully share how I was proven wrong. But right now, from everything I'm seeing and hearing, work doesn't seem all that empowering. We don't seem to be able to stand up to our systems, forces, the treatment that we're experiencing. It feels more like we've taken two steps backwards, where people won't speak up or are hiding, and we suck up the injustices because we need that job, and because so many people have lost theirs, and other people are afraid that they are next. So I want to be wrong. I want Heather to be right. I want us to have an empowered workforce. And to that end, I encourage you to check out her various works and absolutely to help in this. Work towards an inclusive, empathetic, and engaged workplace. One of my favorite things that Heather says in her book is leaders must use empathy to build relationships that engender belonging and engagement, to really see people and understand them, knowing that workers are not just additive, but they are your business. So back to empathy. Here's how you develop and practice empathy. As always, start with yourself. Build your self-awareness. Get to know yourself, the things that you do automatically. What do you think, say, feel, and do? And question yourself. Is this true? Why do I believe that? Do I know this to be true still today? Get curious about yourself and others. And when you get curious, Ask open-ended questions and listen. Listen more than you speak. Seek to gain perspective. The idea is to shift the focus away from yourself and onto somebody else. Try to imagine what their circumstances are like. That's cognitive empathy. Expose yourself to new, to different situations. Get outside of your normal and outside of your comfort zone. That's how you start to really understand what it might be like for other people. Validate people. You don't have to agree with everything that somebody says, but see where you can find value in something they say or share. That doesn't automatically make you wrong and them right, or one of you lesser and the other better. It just creates more space for all of us. And teach yourself to respond, not react. Self regulation. That means finding out more, being compassionate, having grace instead of judging or jumping to conclusions or dismissing somebody. You're looking to gain perspective from somebody else's point of view to acknowledge how that feels for them. You don't have to feel it yourself. You may never feel what somebody else has felt, but can you understand what their circumstance and their feeling might be like? Years back, I was consulting with a group inside Cigna Healthcare, and they wanted my company to help them create an online version of a workshop they taught in person, helping providers and clinicians in similar roles develop empathy. One area that we could never figure out how to replicate online sticks with me to this day. They were discussing how elderly patients often develop levels of immobility related to their feet and walking. In the live workshop, they'd make participants put popcorn inside their shoes and then try to walk. Immediately, we can all imagine this, right? You can sense how awkward and uncomfortable it might be to walk on popcorn. So, describing and depicting it was as close as we ever got. But what could we have done? Today, I still wonder, to take this sensory element further and really drive home what it would feel like to walk with popcorn in your shoes. You may not have feet or mobility issues. You may even be years away from a health or age related health issue. But can you imagine how someone who does have these issues might feel? Your goal isn't to feel that pain or discomfort yourself. It's to recognize that someone else feels something and to have an appreciation for their experience and allow space to be gracious, to seek to understand so that you can create an environment that is better for everyone. This is what we mean by starting with yourself. Lead yourself, then lead others. Be a boss. Join us here next Friday for our next Many But Mighty leadership lesson. By the way, now is a great time to tap like and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next week.